What is Taekwondo? Taekwondo is a version of unarmed combat designed for the purpose of self-defense. It is where the body has gained the ultimate use of its facilities for intensive physical and mental training. Its discipline, technique, and mental training are the mortar for building a strong sense of justice, fortitude, humility, and resolve. It is the mental conditioning that separates the true practitioner from the sensationalist, content with only mastering the fighting aspect of the art. It also implies a way of thinking in life and spirit of strict self-imposed discipline. Translated literally, Tai stands for jumping or flying, kicking or smashing with the foot. Guan stands for fist, to punch or destroy with the hand or fist. Do stands for art or the right way, built and paved by saints and sages of the past. When put back together, Taekwondo means the mental training and the techniques of unarmed combat for self-defense as well as health, involving the skilled application of punches, kicks, blocks and dodges with the hands and feet to gain rapid destruction of the opponent. Taekwondo was founded on April 11, 1955 by General Choi Hong Hai, though due to him sadly passing on June 15, 2002, his son Grandmaster Choi Hong Ha continues to spread his father's legacy all over the world. Here's what it's like being a woman in Taekwondo from a few different perspectives.
Well, just when I was younger, obviously I started, like I've said before, a long time ago. So when I was 6, there wasn't really any other girls in the class apart from my older sister. We did a couple of bouts, and then there was actually a couple of other sisters that came in, and they were obviously there, I think, because they saw we were there, so that was nice. But apart from, I don't really know, because actually it was very male orientated, but because we were young 6s or 7 and 8s, it didn't matter because they looked after us. So it was quite a novelty having us, I think, in the class, all these men and all these boys or young lads, and then all of a sudden there was some sort of 6 and 8-year-olds. So it was quite nice to be looked after. Didn't really feel like intimidated, but probably because of that, I would imagine, because they were so friendly and nice. So that was fine. Didn't really have any problem as a teenager because we were embedded in the class, and everybody kind of knew us and looked after us and continued to do so. But when I got a little bit older and a lot of the guys at the top actually did leave, I did actually get to the top spot. I was actually at the front of the class with one other chap who was a black belt. I just always felt like I was accepted and sort of in, the highest in the class eventually. So I didn't really feel intimidated or anything like that, as you probably would think that a girl or a woman might. That's it really. And being older now, like I say, I don't really notice being a girl, or whether I was a girl or a boy or a man, or it wouldn't really matter. It's just just doing Taekwondo, and everybody's so friendly. Nothing like that's ever really mattered.
Being a woman in Taekwondo is scary at first to start, as it's a male-dominated sport. However, my experiences weren't that bad, as I started with my brothers, and I came to the classes with my brothers, so it wasn't that scary for me. And it definitely helped being trained by a female instructor, because it showed me that I can do the sport and I shouldn't be worried, and it also gave me a good role model to look up to.
Being a woman in Taekwondo can be scary at first, entering a class that's male dominated. However, over the years I have found it very empowering and confidence building, as I have improved my skills and my techniques. It helps me feel safer and more confident in my abilities, and overall has really impacted me over the years.
A pattern is a set of important moves, both attack and defense, set in a logical sequence designed to deal with one or more imaginary opponents. Patterns are an indication of a student's progress in evaluating an individual's technique. They are practiced to improve Taekwondo techniques, to develop sparring techniques, improve flexibility of movement, master body shifting, build and tone muscles, and improve balance and breath control. They also enable the student to learn techniques which cannot be found in other forms of training. The reason for each pattern having a name, meaning, and a number of moves is because one symbolises either a historical event, a heroic figure in Korean history, or instances relating to historical events. The reason there are 24 patterns is because General Choi Hong Hai, the founder of Taekwondo, says, "Here I leave Taekwondo for mankind as a trace of a man of the late 20th century. The 24 patterns represent 24 hours One day or all my life. What age did you start Taekwondo?
I was 6 years old, so 36 years ago.
Why did you start Taekwondo?
Because my mum and dad wanted us to start it. I was 6 and my older sister was 8. So they wanted us to learn how to defend ourselves. So they both got us into it together. I think back then in the 80s, being a girl as well, it was more concerning. So yeah, I think it was just for self-defense purposes really for them.
What inspired you to get into teaching?
My instructor actually got me into teaching, so he actually asked me to do it because I used to do it in the classes. I did enjoy teaching other students when he was teaching, sort of alongside him, but yeah, he asked me if I wanted to do it. He didn't particularly enjoy teaching the children, so he asked me when I was old enough, sort of 17, 18, would I like to proceed with it as a business, and yeah, I did, and so I enjoyed doing it. It was quite nice to see the students progress, and it was really rewarding. So yeah, I think that was pretty much it for me. It's nice to help others succeed, and get them onto their next level of belts. So yeah, that's what got me into it.
Is teaching the youth Taekwondo a rewarding task? Can it frustrate you at times?
Yes, it is a rewarding task, like I've just said, but it is difficult and it can be frustrating at times, just purely because it takes a lot of energy. But yes, it is rewarding. I mean, some of the children have been with me from sort of 4 years old, so now they're in their 20s. That's quite humbling to think that they've been there that long. And that maybe I'm doing something right because they're still there. But yeah, it's only really the high energy that makes it slightly frustrating. It's nothing. If there's anyone who takes longer to learn something, that's not frustrating at all. That just requires a lot of patience. But yeah, I think definitely a rewarding task. But it is hard because it also takes a lot of time to, not just the energy, but it's quite hard to motivate teenagers especially, or younger ones, if they've had a bit of a bad day, but that's kind of part of it. So just do the job and do it as much as you can, help them out.
What belt level are you, and can you explain the system?
I am a 7th Dan black belt, which is master. Basically you can join from 6, you can even join from 4 in the Team Tiger program, but the system is basically normally you join from 6 as a normal Taekwondo student, and you would do your belts from after sort of 3 to 6 months. You do a couple of junior belts first, and then you go to senior grades. So after you've done the 2 junior ones, you'll then do which is purple and orange. That's every 3 months. They're sort of quite simple, just to get people used to the system and obviously get them used to the grading atmosphere, build up the confidence, and then after that you would jump to or go to yellow stripe. So if anybody over 10 or an adult joined, they would go straight to the yellow stripe, so they'd skip the junior grades. So they've got yellow stripe and then yellow belt, which is a full yellow, green stripe, and then a green belt, full green, blue stripe and blue belt, which then makes you a senior grade. So then it becomes a bit more difficult, and you have to then do a grading every 6 months. So these are only minimum requirements, so you don't have to go every 6 months now. You can just wait till you're ready, or your instructor thinks you're ready. But yeah, so 6 months for blue to red stripe, and then red stripe to red belt, and then black stripe, and then black belt. So once you get your black belt, then you go on to Dan grades, which is what I was saying earlier about me being a 7th Dan. So it took me 6 years to get my black belt, from 6 to 12 years old, but you can get it in about 4.5. And then once you get your black belt, it's a 1.5 years to then go to a 2nd Dan. And then 2nd Dan to 3rd would take 2 years, you'd have to wait 2 years. 3rd to 4th, 3 years. If you're a 4th Dan, you wait 4 years, and so on and so on. Yeah, So it's a long time. It took me a long time, obviously, to get there. 32 years. And that was pretty much going whenever I could go. I wasn't waiting around too long in between. Just when I was 11, I waited a year to go for my black belt, because obviously it's quite serious and just needed to make sure I was ready. But apart from that, I was going pretty much all the time. So once you get your 7th Dan, then you will go to 8th Dan and then 9th Dan, which is a Grandmaster. So if you become 9th Dan, that's the highest that you can go. That's the founder's grade. So you can't go any higher than Grandmaster 9th Dan.
How challenging was it becoming a master's degree?
It was difficult, actually. Like I said, it took 32 years of training for a start. It's quite a big commitment, obviously. The exam was actually quite a bit of a challenge. I had to go up to Leicester because the Grandmaster up there had to grade me, because you can't grade people unless there are so many dans or degrees above. So I had to be graded under a Grandmaster, which was Master Sahota. So went up to Leicester. I'd been training with him a few times anyway, like sort of regular training with sort of 6th or 7th dans myself locally, and then I went up to the grading in Leicester. But yeah, that was good fun. I was the only one doing it, as in the higher grades, so there was other grades there, but I was the only one going for masters, so it was quite a bit of pressure, but that's okay. I did have to do breaking, which was difficult for me, a big challenge, because we used to do breaking in the olden days, breaking the boards, but we haven't really done it probably the last 10 years. I didn't really do it. We sort of took out the syllabus with the people that we were with. They still did it, and that was what was required, so I had to train for that as well. So I started training a couple of years beforehand to get my breaking status better than what it was. Luckily I was prepared for it, and it was okay. So it was challenging. I had to do a pattern as well, my highest patterns, and it's quite a lot to remember, but I sort of trained for it. So,
have you been trained by a female instructor? If yes, what was your experiences? If no, how do you think it differentiates?
No, I haven't actually. So you'd probably have to ask my students. I don't know if it would be different. I can't really answer that. Sorry, it's not very helpful to your question. But I was 6, like I said, when I started, and all the people that were training or teaching around there were male. That was just how it went. There's not many female instructors now, let alone, obviously there's more now, but let alone back in the 80s. 87 I started. So no, I haven't been trained under a female, and I'm not sure if it would make a lot of difference. We, being the kids in the class, like I said, training with lots of adults, we kind of were looked after. They were all lovely. So I don't think, even though Master Jones is very strict and was strict, he would always kind of be all right with us. He was obviously stricter on the adults and the higher grades. But if you weren't good enough, you didn't pass, simple as that. But it's the same with my guys now. If they're not good enough, then they don't do the exam. So I don't think, even though I'm sometimes told I can be softer or have a softer approach, I think it's just more of a gentle approach maybe. But females, can be like that, and males can be like that. So I'm not sure on that one. Sorry, I can't really help you on that one. I think it just depends on the instructor.
Are there ever circumstances where you would feel unsafe?
No, not really. Simplest answer probably is just to say that I feel really prepared in situations. So I've been training for so long that it's been ingrained in me to always look out, always be vigilant. Don't ever put yourself in situations that you don't want to be in. And if you ever are in that situation, then there's ways of getting out of it. So we're taught to obviously passively get away from it rather than fighting, because obviously fighting is the last minute that's the last thing that you'd need to do. So yeah, I don't ever feel afraid. Just purely, I think I just prepared, and I've got to trust in what I've been taught and what I know, and I would certainly have a lot more confidence than someone who'd never done any kind of training at all. So yeah, that's what we're trying to build even certainly when I'm teaching, just the confidence to do something and not be afraid. It doesn't mean that you can take it for granted though. You still have to be vigilant, and like I say, I'm always aware, but not afraid.
There are different types of sparring which are all beneficial when learning Taekwondo. The first one is free-step sparring, which is designed for the beginner to practice basic techniques with a partner. It teaches the student distance, body angles, forearm conditioning, accuracy, correct stances, counter-attacks, coordination and timing. The next is two-step sparring, which is designed for the intermediate student to learn more advanced techniques, while still using the same distance and timing as in three-step, but with more varied attacks. The next one is one-step sparring. This is a very helpful form of sparring because it means the students can practice different combinations, preparing them more for sparring. Lastly is free sparring, where students are able to put their skills to the test. Each fighter tries to land a strike with hand or foot on the opponent whilst maintaining their own defence. The skills that need to be focused on for this type of sparring is speed, stamina, timing, balance, and the ability to adapt according to the opponent. What age did you start Taekwondo?
I was 6 years old when I started Taekwondo training.
I started Taekwondo at the age of 6.
Why did you start Taekwondo?
I was inspired to take up Taekwondo after watching my older cousin achieve black belt, and I was really keen to follow in his position.
I started Taekwondo because I was taken to my brother's classes when they did it, so it seemed like a good thing for me to start it too.
What belt level are you?
I am a first degree black belt in Taekwondo.
I am a first degree black belt in Taekwondo.
How challenging was it to become this level?
This level in Taekwondo took a lot of hard work and self-discipline throughout my training, and I found it tough to get to where I am and working up in each belt as it progressively got harder.
I'd say it was quite challenging to become this level, as it took a lot of self-discipline and perseverance to get to where I am now.
Have you been trained by a female instructor? If yes, what was your experiences? If no, how do you think it differentiates?
From a young age, I have always been trained by a female instructor who I have found has helped me come out of my shell and feel empowered in my ability and my strengths.
I have always been trained by a female instructor, and I'd say the experiences was good as it helped me look up to someone and feel more confident in doing Taekwondo, as there wasn't a lot of females in the classes.
Do you feel empowered by the skills you have or are learning?
I feel empowered by the skills that I am learning and that I have learned, and I feel safer and more confident in my abilities and myself.
I'd say I feel pretty empowered by the skills that I have learned and I'm currently still learning, because it's given me more confidence when I'm out and about.
Do you feel safer now that you know the self-defense technique?
I feel safer with this self-defense technique that I have learnt, and I'm more confident in my strengths and abilities thanks to my Taekwondo training.
I would say that I feel safer with the self-defense techniques that I have been taught, because it's made me feel more confident with my strengths and abilities to know that if I was out and about and needed to, I could defend myself.
No, I can bop them like bang bang. Yeah.